Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of the TechTeenth Podcast, where Black excellence and tech meet. Y'all, sorry. We're recording at a different time. My name's Janita.
I'm Charles.
And I'm Otis.
Welcome to the pod, okay? We're humans. We're not robots, all right?
Here.
We talk about tech, but I'm a human being, all
It's
right?
a different day and time that we're recording, so we all thrown off.
Listen, my whole brain, as y'all saw, just cut off. But again, we're human. It is what it is.
Yes.
Not looking for perfection, just looking to get it done. How
And
are
we're
y'all
going to
doing
keep it
today?
in. We ain't even going to cut it out.
No, why? I mean, shit. What's the point? How y'all doing today? Everybody good? Feeling well?
I'm like a 10. No, I'm like a 9.5.
9.5.
I got my DNA results.
Oh,
we talked about last
yeah.
episode, right?
You found out she was white. We got to kick you off the pod.
I'm Danish. I'm Danish and Scottish. I found out like my 31% was like Nigeria, which most of us who are Black in America came from Nigeria. And then the next one, 10% was like Benin and Togo, which is a country in between Nigeria and Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
And then third was Denmark. That was my white side. My great granddad and his people. And then it was like Cameroon, Scotland, Ghana, and some other places. Like
Okay.
1%.
So where are we going now that we know your 40th is spawned from this result?
So I'm definitely gonna go to Nigeria,
Okay.
Benin and Togo. And so I'm flying into Egypt first.
Okay.
Because that was the cheapest flight. Shout out to Delta. That was the cheapest flight. So I'm going to Egypt. I'm going to see the pyramids and the tombs where the kings lay, since, celebrating 40th for this king.
Hey, look at that. Roping it back around.
So I'm still trying to plan it. So next week we can talk about it, plan it all. And I'm nervous because I'm going by myself.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Y'all just pray for me.
We will.
I'll be safe.
Just
You
keep your
got
head
my
on the
location.
swivel.
You be amongst your own people.
Right. Yeah.
It'll be good. Charles, how you doing?
I'm good. It's a busy week. It's a short week, but we're making it happen though. So yeah.
That's good.
Oh, it is. It is a short week.
How is it a short week? I'm sorry.
Labor Day.
Well, so we get wellness days off too. So we have like Friday off, Monday off. So it's a short week, but now that 5 days turned into 4.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, still get your work done.
That's really good.
So wait, does it count then? Because you still gotta.
I still get Friday off. Yes.
But like you still got to work 40 hours or
I mean,
so in 4 days.
I'm global. I work all the time anyway. That 9 to 5 stuff.
that
is
one.
I was about to say.
that went away a long time ago.
Yeah.
I feel it.
What about you?
I feel it. I'm doing good. I did not know. I forgot it was Labor Day weekend. As an entrepreneur, you just keep doing things. I mean, right before this pod started, I was sending a voice note. So it's just nonstop. But everything's good. I really can't complain. Now you guys got me realizing that my daughter will be home on Monday. Yeah. So I need to find something to do. So I'm going to have to get out of this little bubble I'm in. Yeah. But, oh well.
Make it happen.
Well, today we are talking a bit about breaking some ceilings. The three of us here have had the pleasure of breaking quite a few ceilings that we can talk about. But what's interesting is, a lot of people venture into tech, especially Black people, looking at it as a way to like really excel, get into a place that is, arguably very lucrative as you compare it to other industries. But what I find interesting is that as we're trying to climb, as we're trying to make our way, a lot of us find that ceiling is around middle management, and it's a hard ceiling to break. And so I think something, as we were talking about topics for our pod, something we talked about was like, hey, we have people come to us all the time asking not just about what it is to be in tech, but what is it to actually like battle to get through that ceiling? What is it like once you're through that ceiling? And so we're taking ourselves this week a little less out of just being so technical focused, and also kind of bringing a bit of human, like at the top of this episode, unintentionally, into, our pod. So, it's a very interesting experience that we have.
For sure.
Well, let's start with you today. You got to your middle management career at some point. What trials and tribulations did you face, or what helped you accelerate you over that threshold?
Yeah, you know what? White men. I'll start there.
Okay.
Crazy enough.
Yeah.
I found myself in management really young. I was very fortunate to have a catastrophic event that really helped me to shine. At the time, I worked in insurance, actually. This is pre-tech. But being in management there is what allowed me to actually enter tech as middle management. But needless to say, whether it was there or actually the first person that believed in me, shout out to Will Stokel, if he's watching this, one of the best managers I've ever had. He's who hired me into tech. And a lot of that was because of his just belief that that connection between what I was doing in non-tech could translate, and actually trusting and believing that, my skills that I had there could be adopted without some sort of hefty point of entry or something, that a lot of people might put on you. But to another extent, why I say white men is when I was at State Farm, my mentor was a white man. And he gave me game so early that I took beyond that I will be forever grateful for, because I do feel like in that space, there were several other, and I do mean several, Black people who were in a position that could have acted as a mentor. And a part of the experience I had with them young really led me to be the Black woman leader specifically that I turned into, because I was like, I never, ever want to be the crab in the barrel for people coming up after me. And one of the key things, though, and then I'll ask you guys a bit and we'll dive more in so I don't share all of my story at the top, is he said very quickly when I was young, this is not a place for your emotions or your feelings. This is a place where facts and speaking up is what matters. He said, because we sat in a meeting, and when we got off the meeting, I pointed out something pivotal, but I sat through the whole meeting quiet. And he literally was like, hey, that's a fact. That's not a feeling. When you are in a meeting, as long as you're saying something and you're pretty positive you're right, you have to open your mouth, because if you don't, he was like, you could tell me and I can go back and run with your information that you actually found out. And that can be your career, or you can be the one that doesn't allow your role or your thought of intimidation in a room not be basically your ceiling. Yeah. And so those two kind of key things really are what led a lot of my kind of how I approached and how assertive I was in my career.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense of, closed mouths don't get fed. Showing your value early and often in any company is some of those aspects that can help accelerate you into the future.
Really quick though, can you share a bit more though about what that value is and about what you mean when you say open your mouth? Because I do think people think, oh, well, let me just share my opinions all the time. And so can you talk a bit more about what value really is?
Yeah. So adding value is for me is pushing my managers and senior managers or those, even the C-suite execs, pushing them forward in their activities, right? So not only am I doing my day-to-day tasks, but what can I do to take something off their plate to push it forward as well? So it's, see something, say something. So I'm very process-minded and process-based when I come to my thinking. So how can I automate something for them? How can I streamline it? And again, what can I do to, again, push things forward that otherwise they would have to sit there and do? So it's, again, maybe a longer night, sitting home on the weekends, being intentional about my activities and my growth within the company, just sitting there learning, and also too planning for that next position that I want to get into. So,
man, y'all just bringing back memories for me, especially your story, right? Talking about I think about in the mentor versus sponsorship approach, because I had a lot of white men sponsor me, but I had a lot of Black men mentor me, right? And the key difference I see between mentorship and sponsorship is like your mentor will help you understand the path forward, but your sponsor will open the doors so you can walk that path, right? My white male sponsors always put me in the rooms and situations where I could excel and get promoted and be great. Not saying my Black male mentors didn't, but they didn't work with me every day, day to day, right? So I'm working with a lot of white males. So when you said that, I was like, dang, we're getting sponsorships and mentorship from white males, because that's all we see in our with our counterparts and our peers and the people above us.
Yeah. So I had a conversation with a couple of people at Afrotech, the conference in Houston last year, where I said, this is a beautiful event. This is thousands of us here at this conference, representing from a multitude of companies. Well, one thing I did notice in doing our research earlier in the creation of TechTeenth was we were 1% of every single company. Mm-hmm. So now I'm looking at the 1% of every single company here. But out of that 1%, how many are executives, directors, VPs? How many people are actually champions? So back to your point, Otis, you had the sponsors in place to get you promoted, but the mentors were from other companies or maybe internal to your firms, but they just couldn't speak for you in those promotion meetings.
Exactly. They weren't the ones rooting for you saying this person should get promoted or they should get this raise, this bonus. Those were the white men because they were in those leadership roles, right? Yeah. And to your point, like I saw a stat about we only make up 12% of the US workforce, right? Black people. We only make up 7% of tech jobs, which is a little bit of an increase. It was like 6%. It was like 6% when we first started, I feel like. It's like 7% now. That's low still.
Well, and again,
and even in the leadership role, we're like 5% of tech leadership role, right? It's like we are the bottom of the map.
For sure. For sure.
It's crazy.
And what's interesting though, it's great to point out, like it's almost like who else could sponsor you if there's nothing else but that, that is the majority of who you're working with. Yeah. Something interesting though, when you were talking about value and adding value, a lot of times I got people who are like, well, how do I break through? Like, what do I need to do? How do I do this? And interestingly enough, and this is maybe a bit controversial, but I tell people, if you continue to think that your job is limited by your race, that's exactly what will happen to you. And it's much less to say that obviously the stats are real, but if your mentality is everybody in here is against me, that's the way your mind is going to work. Yep. If everything and every issue you hit is race-based, you're going to completely ignore where you actually need to grow, because that's always been something interesting, especially as a Black leader, having Black people on my team and having at moments where they're like, but I do everything I need to do. And I was like, no, you don't, or you do it, but you're blind to the fact that other people do it better. Even to your point of like pushing forward, it's like, it sucks, but this is the facts. If you do your job day in and day out, you have met the requirements of what you get paid for. The contract has been sealed. Right. I don't owe you anything because you showed up for the paycheck that you earn. Where we talk about, hey, maybe I need some more skin in the game. I used to always tell people, and here's some tips for folks at home, whenever you want to look for a promotion, I always say, print out your job description. Print out the job description of what you want. You first have to make sure that you qualify the job you're in. All of the bullet points, not some, not a few. You need to qualify everything in your current job description. And you need to make sure you have at least half of the stuff in the one you're going to, because there can be room to improve. But if you can't actually sit down and say, I have this, if you're not being proactive, so it's not, oh, I finished this early for you. Yeah, but if you know that I'm going to come back and ask you for step 2, come to me with step 1 and 2 done. That's impressive. Yeah,
that was the approach I took at EY, right? They give us the framework of manager, senior manager, partner. These are your goals of each level. And you see that, right? Very visible. I would look at the next level and say, all right, am I doing all those things? This is my story for how I should get promoted, because I'm a manager now. I want to be a senior manager. I need to display to people who are promoting me that I can do the senior manager role. So I always tell my mentees, you need to be in that role. If you want to get promoted next year, you need to be doing whatever that level above you is now for that next year, for the following year. Because then when your conversations come, feedback or whatever, they say, well, you've been acting as a role above your current role, so we're comfortable promoting you to that role. And you just got to keep doing that over and over again. You got to play the game. You got to play the game.
And that's a great segue to my next point. People don't know that they're playing a game.
It's a game.
And I learned that starting early in my career where, this corporate world is a game as well. And there's certain aspects that we have to be playing by. So I go by the pie chart. So it's performance, image, and exposure. So to Janita's point, she's saying, what you're doing in your day-to-day job, your task, that's 10% why you get promoted. Your image is 30%, which is how you present yourself in the workplace, your demeanor, professionalism, are you showing up on time, the way you communicate to people. a positive image about yourself, do people like you?
Right.
They have
Do
to.
people want to actually enjoy you and go out with you,
Right.
et cetera, right? And then the last piece is the exposure part, which is 60%. So again, are you being visible, making connections, speaking up in meetings, adding value, and developing relationships with those higher ups? And I've played that game very well ever since I left my last company, going to the startup I work with now. But I took those rules and I played them very early, and I play them often. So again, are you playing to win? Or are you just playing the game to lose because you don't know the rules?
Or if, and it's interesting too to hear people who are like, well, I don't want to have to play a game. Then you don't.
Get left behind.
Like, or then you need to feel comfortable. Because that's also a conversation where it's like, sometimes it's comfortable to be content, or like it's not a bad thing to be content and happy where you are. Because the other thing, when you're talking about, hey, you have to flex up, do a little bit more, you have to do that because we all can testify when you get to that next job, it doesn't come with less work.
Right.
It doesn't come with less pressure. Every promotion I got came with about 5 to 10 more hours of work, about 12 more therapy sessions with my employees, about 20 more arguments with other execs or people at my level. Like, things didn't get easier and cushier. The check got fatter. Thank
and more
God.
at stake too.
But but also I don't think people understand, the higher you get up in leadership, the more you are to be the fall guy.
Right.
And that weight is also crazy of like, oh, if I do something wrong for this department, if I don't make the right strategic move, those layoffs, when they're looking at places, us being unprofitable, that's on me.
Yep.
Half my workforce gets let go because we're not producing. That's going to be on the leaders, like, at the end of the day. And so it's interesting as people are like, oh yeah, but eventually I'll be able to kick my feet up. Ain't no kick your feet up.
Yeah, I would much rather be a decision maker than not. I like being on the other side of the fence. Again, strategic, operational, put in the work, put in the time, put in the effort. Again, the side of the fence you want to be on. Like, and again, I look at it like, she's saying, we're playing a game. Like, my son is on a football team. He might not get in the game, but he's comfortable with what they do every single day in practice. He's with his teammates. He's supporting. He's rooting. But at some point, if you really want to learn how to play, get involved, and be a value add, you have to do things outside of that practice 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's not enough to just show up and do your job. Like, you have to do the extra things, the extra tangible things. Like, to your point with the pie method, like that image part, like, I made sure partners, senior managers, staff, even people above me and below me saw me, and that was the visibility. But we had what is called a beer test for recruiting. Can I go have a beer with this person after work? If I can't, I'm not hiring you. Even though it ain't even about having a beer with them afterwards, it's about, can I connect with you? Can I sit in a cubicle space with you for 8 hours a day and feel like I can work with you, like, and get the job done? So it's even when you're getting recruited, it's more than just what you are on paper, right? It's who you are,
personality,
right? Yeah. Exactly. And the exposure piece in that E and pie, that messed me up last year for like getting a higher rating, because they said, like, our bosses who made the final decision was like, you're not visible enough. You getting everything done, you doing everything we need you to do, but other people can't speak up for you and say, well, Otis did this, Otis is great at that. You doing it all internally, and we all see it, but everybody got to see it. So it's very important.
Super important. And what I think is interesting is in this same like theme of gameplay, there are unwritten rules that you have to know. I do think that something that you said too about exposure, I don't know that a lot of people really understand what that means and like how important it is to like, hey, if there's a way for you to work cross-functionally with anyone, do it. Like, do it. But there are those unwritten rules of like, it doesn't mean you have to be the life of the party. Doesn't mean you have to be the biggest personality in the room. But if you are insufferable,
Right.
Like if you seem to find yourself that you just can't click with folks, it probably is not. I mean, in general, I would say try and find an atmosphere that actually works best for you. But there's that. There's also that, which is why I said, let's talk about speaking up in rooms. Yeah. Because if you are loud and wrong once, you are loud and wrong forever. Like that's one unwritten rule that's why it's like, hey, if it's not backed by facts, if you don't have data to support what you are saying, keep that frustration in. Go find your reason and what you can use to back it up in future conversations. But I feel like there are these small unwritten rules that show up that you face that if you're not hip to it.
Like go to the happy hours. Like some people, if I'm not an introvert, but I can understand an introvert would be like, I'm not going to the happy hours. How would that help me in my career going to have drinks with my team members?
Read a book and research. Yeah. That's what I had to do.
Yeah,
that's where the unwritten rules start from. And they're written down somewhere. Like we are not recreating anything new today.
No.
It's the same thing. Do I like you? Can I work with you? Are you good at what you do? Yep. If not, be accountable for it and accept the risks that come with that or the punishment that come with that.
Yeah.
I do know one thing about myself. You know, you need to bring up another point where speaking up and being wrong and also maintaining emotions. So I have an issue with people who speak up against me and are wrong, and I have facts, but I don't manage that well because I'm gonna let you know how wrong you are in front of everybody.
Look at your self-awareness.
I know.
Well, at least you're self-aware.
I sat down with that. I was like, man, that went pretty bad. You know,
wait, they're wrong?
Yes.
What was the thing you said?
They're wrong. I have my facts, and they're loud about it. Too.
Oh, they're loud about it too. Wow.
And I don't manage my emotions well with people who do that because they're trying to call me out thinking I'm like, no, bro, I got you, and I write everything down just for that reason. I have some colleagues, they record phone calls and stuff. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to write everything down and see what you remember. I remember everything.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. Yeah. I used to have that. And then one day, I can't remember if it was a conversation, something happened. And I literally was like, I do not give a fuck about any of y'all.
Wow.
Like on a level that was more like, why am I letting this get under my skin? Family. It's like I have people who love me and that's not y'all. Like I like you. Yeah. I'm okay to be here, but also I'm not arguing over how many invoices we decide to optimize today. You can have it.
You got it, bro.
You got it. Like I eventually got to a place because maybe we'll get into it. It's like the higher you get, the more you realize people are crazy. Okay. Yeah. The higher you get those conversations, you think you've seen a heated meeting or people were out there going for the jugular, saying just ridiculous things. And it's kind of one of those things where I was like, you know what? There's no hill here I'm willing to die on.
But it's the higher you go up, the more your image is exposed across the entire company. So not only with your leadership, but also people under you too, so that those messages spread very quickly. So it's like you don't want to ever look bad, period. So you're on cross your T's, dot your I's, because I'm coming for you. Your so brand, again, that's that game.
So that's your brand matters. Yes. Like your personal brand is all you have, right?
1000%.
And so it's really important at that company.
At that company,
yes. Because our brand has different facets, right? I'm different how I am with you and the boys than how I am in the boardroom, right? But I'm still Otis. I'm not faking the funk or being a different person. It's just a different side of me that I need to cater to
just like
the
nobody
audience.
No faithful person would go into a church and decide to be high in church.
Exactly.
Oh shit!
Dang! Don't look at me. I'm not that person. Okay.
Maybe I'll say like,
"Oh God!"
High in the club, like twerking. Yeah. It's like that's not the setting for it. So yes, of course.
Trying to reach a high beam. I don't know.
I do shrooms for that.
Fair enough. But yes, there is such a thing as like different brands, different ways you show up.
Yeah.
And I think being mindful that does matter, and it's an interesting thing because and it's a fine line for Black people. I actually was just talking to my therapist about this today, about how specifically as Black people, obviously for me as a Black woman, you find yourself walking through life where you have a lot of things that people tell you what you can and can't do. We've broken a lot of barriers over time, but for a lot of us, you couldn't go to work like that. You would never be able to have your own self-expression of hair because that is deemed as unprofessional.
That's true.
For, Black women, while I may not be able to sport a fro, I had big curly hair for a long time. I was straightening it, ruining my hair so I could basically show up in a brand that somebody else had. And of course, thankfully, as we've become more socially aware, questionable nowadays for regressing, but it is interesting how, again, there's always some sort of game in there to be able to break certain barriers that it's like, hey, the reality is most major companies now, tech companies, you can get away with wearing J's, you can get away with whatever. But the reality is no one wants somebody on their VP board with a face tat. You know what I mean? And like, there's some things where it's like, you do have to realize like, there's always going to be a bit of conformity if you do want to, but there is a way to what you were saying to make sure the essence of you never goes away.
Like, I feel like we've come a long ways, but we still have a long ways to go.
Always.
But to your point, right? Like I work where I work, a lot of people have dreads, have locks, have different colors in their hair. And to your point, like 10, 15, 20 years ago, that you couldn't get away with that outside of tech.
Yeah, my question for you, for those people that you're mentioning, how high up are they versus...
They directors, VPs. So I noticed too, our CISO and VPs and SVPs, white males will come with hats on, like different, like not as professional attire, just to make you feel like you can be comfortable enough to come as you are. So I love it. I applaud them for like helping us come as we are.
Yeah, Janita pretty much has forecasted all of our conversations today because she spoke about. I think that works within your company
for sure.
And that culture. That is not the masses. It's not at all.
Not at all.
And again, I say that because we don't run and control anything with a lot of these corporations. We spoke about another episode, maybe I wasn't here, but how many Black companies there are, how many Black CEOs there are. Like there's very few and far in between. So those entry barriers, we're talking about tattoos on the faces, just honestly a lot of visible body parts. And it shouldn't restrict you, but it does. Yeah. And I just think people need to realize like the choices you make at an early age can impact you later on in life. And I realized that the hard way when I was in grad school. And it wasn't because of tattoos or anything, but it was because of my history of smoking weed. And I got turned out from the FBI for that. So, it's little things like this doesn't come, it impacts you 10 years down the road. So,
that's
and so, and for them, anything you do over 30 times, you're considered a user, not an experimenter. So that's why I did not make that cut. So,
okay.
To clarify.
I was way past 30 times at that age, I had a busy year in high school, I was bored. So, I was legal everywhere. So, yeah, in most places.
I know. It's so interesting. But I think, what I would encourage people is, well, the biggest thing is I think you have to be honest with yourself. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to kind of push through? Because at the end of the day, there's nothing that you get that's like in greatness without a lot of hard work and without some discomfort. Like it doesn't come comfortably. You have to continue to push yourself and mold yourself. And so I do encourage people to like, if this is something you really want, continue to test those bounds. I mean, I eventually broke. There was a time that I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to go much further than this under someone else. Like, I feel confident I can survive on my own, if you will.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a lot that I learned. There are a lot of people who infuriated me that helped me be even better. Like, I shouted out one of my bosses. The other one of my bosses I won't say because he was the worst boss I ever had. But I also say he was the best for me because a lot of his rigidity, a lot of the things that we actually didn't mesh on at all made me much better. It was annoying. I hated the microaggressions. I hated things, but it let me know, again, that was more of a person that let me remind myself, like, I am not living to work.
Yeah.
I work to live.
Right.
And this doesn't need to piss me off every day. He doesn't have to be my cup of tea. I just need to learn him, learn what he likes, learn what to stay away from.
Yeah.
And keep pushing.
That's a good point, because you can also learn, to your point, the people who are above you and a couple of levels above you, you can learn what you don't like, right? Like, I learned from working with a few CISOs. I'm like, I never want to be a CISO. I thought I did. I was like, I want to go and do the CISO road. No, I'm never want to be a CISO. Like, I learned that by working with them and understanding all the trials and tribulations they have to go through every day and what is expected of them if something goes wrong. Like, I don't want to have that responsibility. So you can learn what you like and dislike from the people above you and use that to your advantage, right? to cater, like to make your path and your way, your career, just based on the knowledge you get from just like people that are working with you day to day, or people who don't work with you, but you see you don't want to work, you don't want that job, you don't want that life. I ain't about that life.
And definitely look into it, because I'm not gonna lie. Well, that's not true, because I was hungry for money.
So you're gonna lie.
So well, no, I didn't.
No,
That's why I didn't say it, because I was like, actually, the money. I was chasing money and power. I'll be very honest. Like, everybody should have a reason, and I always told people, if your reason is money, be honest about it, because then that reminds you why you're there. Don't say, oh, it's for the mission, or I was in it for money and power. Okay, I love bossing people around. I love making a lot of money doing it. It was great.
Facts.
But if I'm honest, my favorite job was that middle management job. When it was just me and 12 other people that I was responsible for, max. And I was just, day in, day out, get to connect with my people, get to leave on time. No one expects anything additional from me. Those were, honestly, though, like, if I were to say, hey, if there was a place now, if I wanted to go back to corporate, I would probably just go into regular management.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. We have a mutual friend. She's more your friend. When we went to Breckenridge to ski, snowboard, I was talking to her, and she was the first person I ever met that was like, I don't want to get promoted to a leadership role. I was like, what you mean? Everybody want to be a leader? She's like, no, I'm good where I'm at. I'm excelling well, but I don't want to be over everything. And I was like, what? I never heard someone say that. So to your point, like, it's not always about getting promoted up to a C-suite level.
And those are the best employees.
But I think you have to be careful too. Like, listening to a lot of the leaders now, it's the people who are not looking to get promoted, the people who want to stay in their roles for a very long time. Like, those people also that can be expendable as well.
That's true.
Unless they're just rock stars, there's some exceptions. But for people who are not trying to really navigate, or they're moonlighting with other jobs, people getting caught every day more and more around just doing things outside of their work. So it's like, going back to that mission statement, going back to the pillars of the company, are you really here to help us succeed and grow, or are you just buying your time? And leaders see that.
Maybe I'm not enough of a company woman. Maybe that's where I went.
That's why you're an entrepreneur.
No. Well, because I would say, actually, my favorite employee on the team was the person that knew how to do their job well. Because most of the time, the people like that, they're like, no, I don't want to grow. They're not actually slackers. They just don't want to give you more than their requirements.
That's true.
And
But
for
they want
me,
more money, though.
No. Those people don't.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they
Who
don't.
don't want more money?
No, but
Right.
I'm telling
To do
you,
the same thing.
Right.
legitimately, the only person that I ever ran into that was a woman who was mad because I was so much younger than her and her boss, that she was just like, well, now I want to be a leader. I want more money. I'm like, girl, you've been sitting in this role for 30 years. You at the cap.
Right.
Like, there's no more money in the pot. But outside of that person, I love that person. You want to know why? Because they don't have leadership conversations with me. They're not bugging me for promotions, because they actually are. Those people are comfortable, and they're not asking for promotions either. They're asking for more money, but they know that's only going to be 3%.
Yeah.
And that's what they're looking for. And so for me, person has always been my favorite. Always been my favorite. It's the people who do that, but then think that they're ready for leadership because they showed up for work 2 years in a row.
Yeah. So what are some of our takeaways as we close out?
What I heard today, just to kind of recap, don't limit yourself. Take time to learn. Get out of your head. Don't say, I can't do this. I can't do that. I don't want to do this. Just go out there and learn it. And closed mouths don't get fed.
Okay. I would say your personal brand matters internally and externally, but definitely within your company. Your personal brand matters within your team members, within your direct reports, within your bosses' bosses. Have exposure, visibility, get comfortable being uncomfortable doing things you don't want to do. Because if you want to excel and you want to get promoted, you're going to have to do some things you don't like doing sometimes. So,
yep. And just don't have a limiting mindset. That's the biggest thing for me. Again, if you let race lead you, if you let your gender lead you about all the things that you can't get and won't get, then that's exactly what will happen. But if you actually open yourself up to say, I'm going to do the work, and actually be honest with yourself about what you need to improve on and improve. When you hear feedback, even if you don't agree with it, sit back, think about it, and actually try and move forward. Sky's the limit.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and we'll see y'all next week.
See ya.
Divide the pie.
Divide the pie.
Peace.